DUCO Scavenger valve. This valve is specifically used in the recycle mill areas such as hydropurge, detrashers, the pulpers, all the big valves that we consider to be scavenger valves. The reason is it's a different model. It's manufactured different from what we call the HD or MD cleaner reject valves, that cycle top and bottom valve, because this valve can be put, I've seen them in all around the country in recycle mills from north, south, east, and west. They can be installed in the plants in various positions. So the problem you would have with a typical reject valve, say with a square gate design, which we have for that, is that if the valve is in a vertical position, the angle position to the right or the left or 30 or 45 degrees in a pipe, you can end up with the valve plugging at the bottom. If the valve plugs at the bottom, then you have a problem. It won't make the limit switches. It won't tell you if it's open or closed. And then you're going to end up, your operations people will end up beating on the gate and doing a lot of harm to the valve. And the valve will not work, it will not open and close and cause you significant problems. So this valve is designed, and I'm going to close it here. Might take a second. As you can see, closing the valve, we manufactured the valve in such a way that the back end of the valve, this would be the outlet side, is perfectly smooth and round. The gate has a beveled edge. It's a 400 series heat treated and hardened stainless steel chrome plated gate that will withstand the abrasion and the wear and tear from all the staples, the wire, the glass, the sand, and so forth. But the key to the valve working is that it has no cavity at the back where you keep plugging it up by pushing the material down. And many of the valves that I've changed or replaced, that's the main problem, is the plugging of the valve at the bottom. So we've solved that problem. This component you can see right here is only part of the guide ring. It's also 420 stainless steel, heat treated and hardened. The gate rides on the guide ring and not on the body of the valve, which would wear out the body prematurely. So we have three components of the valve that are important to the valve performing and trying to get as much wearability out of the valve as possible. We have to admit, just like all of my clients know, these valves will not last forever because they're in a very abusive service. It'd be like using your Cadillac to bale hay. I always use that as an example instead of using the proper pickup truck or whatever to do the right job. This valve is not just another knife gate valve. This valve was manufactured over the last several years. We've made many different models, made different improvements on it, so that this valve will give you the bang for your buck and give you the lifetime you need in a true scavenger valve. So this is a hardened and heat treated cartridge made of 420 stainless steel, and as you can see, it's serrated to help cut through the wire, the staples, the glass, and the other items that you have in there. Of course, it's not going to cut everything, but it does a good job of shearing. We call it a shearing valve, okay? It's on the inlet side. This cartridge is always on the inlet side of the valve. Then you have the hardened gate, then you have the hardened guide ring. This makes the valve fully repairable, okay? The valve is fully repairable by us or anywhere, usually approximately 50-60% the cost of a new valve. As you can see, we use the NPV cylinder mounted directly to the stanchions. It has a full stainless steel lockout bar. And if we can get a picture on this side, you can see that every valve comes with limit switch brackets that are also stainless steel, made to fit Westlock or Allen Bradley or whatever limit switch types you use. And we have this flange on the valve, so that in a minute I'm going to demo cutting wire with it, coat hangers that I have here, to show you how and why this valve will work. Now, important is that this valve is available from 3-inch to 30-inch. I currently have valves in service in every one of those sizes. Just recently sold the 30-inch valve to PCA Paper in Jackson, Alabama. We have 24-inch valves in service in many locations. The common sizes seems like for the detrashers, the hydropurgers, are usually from 10 to 16 or 18-inch size. We just did a project for Rice Brothers in Virginia where they put in 3 12-inch view valves. New Indy Paper in California has a significant number now of 16-inch valves that are working and performing very well. So what we'll do is demo the valve, and in order to do that, I'm going to have to open it again, but first let me show the packing. I'm sorry. The packing material in this type of valve, and it depends on the size of the valve, it has 3 rings of packing material. The top ring will be a Carrera Teflon packing. It has an O-ring inside of it to give it compression. Then we put an elastomer packing, that's Viton material, in between. And then we put another ring of packing at the bottom, the Carrera packing. And this has proven to give us the best seal, because normally these valves can be cycling anywhere from 1 minute to 3 minutes to 7 minutes, 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes, and even up to an hour sometimes. The best example of a valve, or valves that I have in service, that IP, or I could say an IP mill, has 2 18-inch on a hydropurge that cycle every minute of every hour, all day long. They open and close every minute. As soon as the valve opens, it closes again, and the valves have been performing flawlessly. And one of their problems with their previous valves was the packing gland didn't hold. And we've been having great luck. And they have 3 valves, one is a spare. They take them out, do preventive maintenance. We repair the valves for them. And that's sort of the program that I have with many of my clients around the country. They don't let the valves go to total failure, because if you let the valve go to total failure, then the valve may not be repairable. So we recommend that once the valve starts maybe sticking a little bit, you either need the cylinder repaired, which is something you can do on site, or the valve itself is wearing out and you're starting to get some of the material, some of the wire or the glass or the staples might be getting in between the 3 components. When that happens, the valve is going to start sticking. Or if you see the valve leaking excessively out of the packing, that means the gate has worn down to the point that where when it opens, the thin part of the gate goes through the packing, and then of course the packing is not going to seal the thin part of the gate. The typical gate is 1/2 inch, 5/8 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch thick, depending on the size. So you have to take all of those things into consideration when you're using the valve. They do have to be maintained. Packing gland should be checked regularly to make sure that the valve's not leaking, because when it starts leaking, the leak will only get greater, okay? And I feel like we have a great packing system that works. Now, to demo the valve, I'll take a few coat hangers here. And the idea of the demo is not to show that the valve will cut wire. It'll cut wire. It'll cut your number 9 baling wire that you typically see, carbon steel wire, stainless steel wire. But I usually use the coat hangers for the purpose of showing you that the valve will not only shear many of the items you have in service or in the application, but that the back end of the valve, which is critical to the valve working, is not going to plug up, because there's no place for the wire to get caught up in, and you don't keep jamming time after time. You don't keep jamming the wire in the valve. All right, what we're going to do now is demonstrate how the valve will shear the coat hangers. And the purpose is not really to show the shearing capabilities. There's great shearing capabilities for all types of wire, staples, the glass, and it'll handle sand and that sort of thing. But that the purpose of the valve and what makes it work for you is that it doesn't plug the material at the bottom time after time. When you're cycling these valves every few minutes, certainly several times an hour. So we'll go ahead and put the coat hangers in. I'll hold them, and we'll turn the air on and watch it shear the coat hangers. All right. As you see, open it up. There's no place for the valves to plug up. This is perfectly smooth and round at the bottom. And the very reason we know that this works is in the early days when we started making the valve, Mr. Tursick started making the valve, we used to have a very slight cavity at the bottom, not even but a quarter of an inch. And just that quarter of an inch cavity caused the problem. The material would start plugging up, and then the valve wouldn't operate because it kept jamming and jamming the material at the bottom of the valve. So we came up with a different design, and this valve is working perfectly in what we call the scavenger type applications in the recycle mill. So the valve is available from 3-inch to 30-inch design, and it's always equipped with the hardened materials and with the NPV cylinder. Cylinder's repairable, the valve is fully repairable. There's no reason to throw the valve away. As I said earlier, we recommend that the valve be repaired before you completely wear it out so that we can repair it at a reasonable cost.